gotten to know the programs and our students really well over the last couple of years, and I'm excited to kind of continue to grow things. So, yeah, thanks again for having me and look forward to working with everybody. Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Are we ready for the special presentation?
We are. I mean, are you ready?
No, I mean, you ready?
You ready?
Born ready.
Good evening, board members, members of the audience. Is this on? Oh, wait to come on. Okay. Well,
Number 11, huh?
that's right. That's exactly what I was gonna say. We can't believe we're already involved for an update number 11.
It only feels like.
Like the first time.
Now I have an earworm.
So it should be a fairly brief presentation. As you know, at the last board meeting.
What'd you say?
It should be, unless you guys ask questions. I'm just gonna block through it.
We are recording this, right?
I tried not to present today, but I was asked to present, so. At the last board meeting, I focused more on the projects that were under construction, so tonight's presentation will focus on projects under design. And then I'll close with a brief update on other general projects. So I'll start with the 135th and Aviation Sports Complex project. I am happy to report that we have concluded the construction documents phase. We submitted the plans to DSA last week on August 6th, and we are still on track to commence construction on this much awaited project on March 2025 with a planned construction completion of December 2025. Now, we've been having regular meetings with Erickson Hall, our lease-leaseback contractor, in the form of pre-construction meetings. In preparation for this, they've done a thorough constructability review. PBK has responded to all of the constructability review comments. Both firms, both PBK and Erickson Hall, owe the district a cost estimate, a construction documents, which is the most valuable cost estimate. It gives us a realistic picture now that we have biddable plans. They're in the process of developing the cost estimate, unfortunately, because we just completed the documents last week. They generally need about 2 to 3 weeks, and then we do a reconciliation of budget. So at the next board meeting, I'll be able to come in and present the findings in terms of the cost estimate. If you have a focus, I have some new renderings to share with you tonight. You've already probably reviewed them in your packet, but it gives you a more realistic picture of what the project will look like. This is the main entry to the building, as you can see. And this is the concessions, restroom, and storage building.
Are we looking north-south on Aviation?
This is directly off, you can see the building there, directly off of the Weisberg Middle School parking lot. We'll be using that as our main parking lot. Here, you can see a bird's eye perspective. You can see the soccer field as well as the softball and little league field. To the north there, if I can point, is the south parking lot. You'll see in a better rendering right now in another view.
I had a question on the logo.
Mhm.
I know the logo's facing the right way for the school, but is it facing the right way for people driving by? It seems silly, but.
It really depends on where the bleachers will be. So one of the things that we'll look at is you generally want to face the logo where you'll have those temporary or movable bleachers, or you have designated areas for parents to sit or community members. You'll see that in another view here.
Do you mean the logo in the?
Middle one?
I mean along the.
Yeah, the WSD.
Yeah.
Right. As you're.
Inside the soccer.
Not on the soccer. Not the one on the field.
No, the one.
The
Yeah, the middle one.
Yeah, the one on the field.
He's talking about the one on the field.
Yeah,
This
that-
one here. So there's minimal, because you can see there's minimal space along this side. So most likely you'll have a bit more of a gap here for anyone who's here to watch the game. So you'll be able to see the logo from there. Correct.
I'm very into this.
Here you have another angle. You can see this is where the SLC building currently sits. This will be our south parking lot with approximately, I believe there's 30 something parking stalls. We're trying to get 40. I believe we were only able to capture about 35. You can see the maintenance and operations building will remain, and you can see the Weisberg Middle School building.
Where
as
the
well.
parking currently exists along aviation is going to be. It's subsumed in the.
Correct.
The software.
Correct. There'll still be some street parking. But we'll be able to capture all of the parking in the Whitesburg Middle School lot as well. So you'll have both lots to be able to, and with pedestrian entrances as well. Here you can see a closer view of the south parking lot.
That's aviation, right? The
Mhm.
street.
Correct. Come on. Move. And this one I thought was an interesting perspective to share with you guys. Again, this is a concessions building, but you can see a daytime and a nighttime perspective. As you can see, there's some special lighting features that will make it interesting at night. Man, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I like it. I was quite impressed with the design. And in terms of the elements, we're looking at a combination of, I can't read from here, so I always bring my computer. This isn't any better. It's a mixture of stucco, different, a broom finish and a smooth finish, as well as the powder coated metal along the canopy at the main entrance. Any questions? Yes. And this is again, a daytime and nighttime perspective from the back of the building. So you're facing from the soccer field, facing the concessions building. And we have been talking about the,
Is that
yes,
fencing? Is that fencing between the soccer field? If you can go back to that six,
I am.
is that, what is that fencing there or?
It's for the soccer. It's,
the
it's,
soccer.
it's netting,
Oh,
correct.
so that like doesn't go.
For soccer
like,
balls.
when they- so- okay,
Exactly.
Got it.
And we have been talking about the digital displays, locating them in a couple of different locations, and this is separate, of course, from the scoreboards. As you can see, this is again the concessions building. We're talking about adding a 16 by 8 foot digital display on the side of the building along 135th Street. So anyone that's driving by, you can announce games, times. It's the perfect opportunity to do that.
Off of the fencing off of Aviation Boulevard, do we know the height of that fence?
30 feet,
40 feet.
30. So
Do
each
we know what
panel,
this sign is- This display.
That's it right there.
Right there.
That's
Is that its intended use? That's why I'm wondering.
We're gonna probably put this at the. So that's- No.
oh, this,
Yeah.
This- oh, I'm like-
This one, this actual.
you threw me out, sorry.
Yeah, that you were looking more in the corner.
And there's a second display that's coming up. This one,
Oh, there's.
as you can see, each one of those panels is about 10 feet, so it's 30 feet. We've lined up this display, which is a single sided facing Aviation Street, I'm sorry. This is facing Aviation, and directly behind it to protect, obviously, the display is the fence.
Would it make more sense?
Now, we have some options where we can move it. We initially, Neil, you have brought up installing that at the very corner of 135th and Aviation, but because of clearances and there's some electrical light poles there, we cannot install it there. So the only other option is about the middle of Aviation Street, since we already have the other one on
Because my question
135th.
was, if we're gonna do this, should it be facing north-south? Because you just drive by this. This is not, people aren't standing in the middle of Aviation looking at it.
That is an easy fix, if that is
Yeah.
I'm
the
wondering-
desire of
I
the
would-
board, yes.
I would agree that it should face north-south.
Well, I'm also wondering, should it go where the south parking lot is? Could it go down there facing north south? Because that would be like the other end of
Uh-huh.
the facility,
The other
right?
entry or whatever.
Yeah,
We have not explored that option, but we can certainly do that.
and maybe there it would be a little bit out of the way and would give
Makes sense.
allow
have
you to
the-
do the north south.
You have the parking entrance, you have the south.
Just keep in mind that plans were already submitted to DSA.
Okay,
So
all right,
any
okay.
changes, we can capture these changes.
It's fine.
We can, but it'll be until back check.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to submit at this point. So once we start receiving comments from DSA, that's a perfect opportunity for us to squeeze in any other changes, last minute
I
changes.
think that's a good point, Rebecca, and both Neil bring up, I think it should face north-south, I think.
That's easy.
I
That's
think,
just.
I think close to
hurting
the
it.
south parking lot
No.
is one area where you would have this, and then you already have an entryway off of Wyvern
Right.
Dana parking lot. So,
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would say it is just turning it, but you also, I mean, if you were to like turn it right there, you're gonna now obstruct
You're gonna
potentially
be in the field
play.
of play.
So we wanna make sure that's in a place where it's also north-south, not obstructed.
No, it's not obstructing the field. It seems like it is, but there's quite a bit of distance and separation from there. It's directly behind the netting. So the netting protects it. And there's still a big gap in between. Because we had talked about potentially making it a dual-sided display, but it was gonna be difficult to see with the netting, with the fencing. It's not netting, it's fencing.
Well, I think that's the thing is if we were to turn it north south, you would sort of
Should be
expect it to be dual.
Yeah.
The other thing that we can do, if I can point
This is-
to it,
this
I
is
hate
silly.
this pointer.
This is silly.
Uh, right here, I don't know if you can see this kind of opaque area. That's the batting cages. We can also scoot this, push it back so that it's away from basically center between the soccer field and the softball field. That's also an option. And it's within the same footprint, so that it should be an easy fix. But if you want me to explore the option of bringing it to the south, next to basically facing the southern parking
Yeah,
lot.
just if you go back to that
Go back.
bird's eye view.
If you go back to two previous slides, I think,
Come on.
And,
one more, right there, see?
well, yeah, behind. the
And-
softball.
And there's another previous slide, but that
The
you can
one
get
right before this.
right
one.
before this one. See, like right in that area, and it looks like you got the room,
We have the room.
yeah,
Right now it's there.
yeah.
Even in front of that corner.
That's what I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
in that corner behind
Right in
the
that
Right.
baseball field.
Okay,
Cause you could even do, like, yeah, anyways, it just,
Makes sense.
not a problem.
as like an entry
We'll
point.
bring it to PBK's attention during our meeting next week on Monday.
I love it, I love all the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks good.
Okay, moving on to the next project, the Da Vinci Kitchen Modernization Project. As you know, a couple of board meetings ago, actually at the June 12th board meeting, I believe. The board approved the amendment to PBK's contract to start the design process for both the cafe and the kitchen modernization project. Now, this is strictly the modernization. And the direction of the board was to proceed with schematic design and stop. Obtain the cost estimate and bring it to the board for review. The good news is, as you can see, the cost estimate has actually come, it's lower than we had initially thought. When PBK provided the initial cost estimate, it was based on a concept, just the idea and the original plans. Now that they've actually had an opportunity to start schematic design, they've been able to develop the design a little more. I'm still a little skeptical about this cost because it's still only schematic design. There's still three other design stages. There's still two other, design development, and then there's construction documents phase. I would like to request authorization to proceed to the next phase. Since it's looking good in terms of budget, it obviously didn't come in over budget, but at a minimum so that we can get the design a little bit further refined so that we can get a more realistic cost estimate.
Are you skeptical because you anticipate the cost will go up the next
It
phase?
generally does. As we define any design further, after every stage, we have a cost estimate after DD and CD. It's not until you're complete with construction document phase, which is the last one, that you have biddable drawings that you obtain the most realistic cost estimate. So ideally, not until we are done with the design will we have a true cost. Because at that point, we obtain costs from actual contractors. This is right now just based from the architects. And they're generally lower than.
Is the number roughly 1.8? Is that what we're looking at?
It's 1.8, so as you can see, I brought up the cost, and that's just construction cost only.
Mhm.
To be safe, I've added another $1 million because I think that's more or less, that has been the case with all of our other projects. They come in on budget or under budget in schematic design, but the minute we start moving into the other stages of design, the cost always increases.
What is your?
You already
usual
increased
ask?
it by 2 million.
She's
To proceed to the next phase,
The request is to go to the schematic.
Oh, I understand.
To design development.
I-
there's not a dollar request because the board already approved the amendment. The direction was just to stop after schematic design. So in the event that it would have come in at, say, $10 million, I'm sure the board would have said, absolutely not, it's not feasible, and the project now. It actually came in $1 million under what we initially had thought, so my recommendation is to proceed to the next phase.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo what Noemi said. I think the concern was not knowing what that cost was, not having a good idea what the cost was, and had it come in at 5 million or 6 million,
Right.
it probably would have been, a no-go. Coming in at 3.2, I just want to remind the board, there was a conversation about $2 million about the district, we thinking it was a $2 million project, so it's still significantly more than that. There's obviously gonna have to be some conversations with Da Vinci on cost sharing of some sort, unless the board authorizes 3.2 million or more. So, I'd recommend that we at least continue on and get, because the difference isn't as much and actually has come down, that we at least get a hard cost estimate on it or
What is the additional cost to do that?
So the
I
amendment
know
was
we've approved up to, but what are we talking here?
$339,000. So there is a cost factor, obviously,
To go to the DD phase.
to complete the entire
Okay,
design.
So I think the question is, the difference from going to schematic to DD phase, what are we looking at?
I don't have that number with me, I'm sorry.
I
So
thought
the
we had
total,
already
the
had it.
total design.
Hard to give you, yes.
Wow.
Could you even pull that? Could you?
It's a percentage, I'm sure I can, but not, I didn't come.
It's a
prepared, I
percentage.
apologize.
I thought we'd already had a conversation about who was responsible for some of the costs on this project.
Tell me more.
Like, I thought that part of the reason why we were proceeding with this was because Da Vinci had requested to build out the kitchen for
Oh, yeah.
the program. And
Yes.
so that they had already said that they would cover some
Yes,
costs
yes.
related to it. So it's not that we would, like, this 3.2 was not something that we would be on the hook for the entire amount.
That's correct. So the conversation was around the servery and the cafe. Cafe is a small project,
But
servery is
the
a larger
cafe,
project.
Da Vinci will be covering.
That Da Vinci has, Matt has shared that they would cover that cost. I think conversations, that we've had, where we obviously have to put some kind of agreement together, that we haven't done yet, but it's hard to put an agreement together when we don't have. This is the realest number we have, so.
But I guess what I'm trying to understand is because is the cafe part of this
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole separate thing. So this
They have
is.
agreed to fund
Oh, I
separately.
see what you're saying,
Yeah, no, I was trying to understand whether for the overall project that we're talking about, you were talking about the cafe and the
Yeah.
server.
That's actually an excellent point because Da Vinci's finding that it's not as easy or as they initially thought or as cost effective.
The servery or the?
The cafe.
The cafe.
The cafe, because the health department, this all got triggered because the health department came in for an inspection. We brought in PBK to address the inspection items. We submitted that and the health department said, oh, by the way, we realized you guys never came to the health department. There was never an inspection. We never even knew that this was a project. Therefore, it has to be treated as a full submittal, very similar to DSA. So they had to go back and redesign everything. So now they're completely, essentially gutting that cafe and starting over in terms of lighting, flooring, equipment, plumbing, electrical. So it's not a simple fix to address the couple items that were on that list. Now it's a full blown project. Still cheap in comparison to this. I think we've gone a couple of cost estimates around 350. But it's not, $10,000 or.
I guess I
something
was just
simple.
trying to understand if we were on the hook for the whole amount, and it sounds like we are, because that project is a separate, related, but separate.
Separate project.
No, the survey's on here though.
To your point.
Servery is kitchen, correct. The cafe is separate.
But the cafe is separate.
Correct.
Right. but I'm
Servery
saying
is part of the kitchen.
Of the 3.2, there will be pulling out the servery. Da Vinci has agreed to pay for that.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
So
That's do we have this in writing for each other's protection?
No, we don't, we would put that, we don't have a real number to put yet.
Got it.
Until we get that hard number, we've talked about the agreement, we just need to know what we're agreeing to. You know.
So Noemi, I'm trying to see if I can address Neil's question here to some extent. If I have a schematic, design development, 50% CD, 100%, kind of, I'm breaking, just for simplicity purposes, breaking it out, I think you shared it was 300 something thousand total design for this, 330 or something like that. It's roughly about, is it fair to say roughly about $85,000 as I go
Pretty
from
much. Mhm.
phase, from schematic.
I mean,
to
it
design?
varies because
So-
there's different, like,
Right,
there's construction administration built in,
yeah.
so.
So you're talking about somewhere when she's requesting to go from schematic to DD phase, you're talking, and then from DD to 50%, it's not precise, but you're talking about somewhere between $80,000 and $90,000.
We have.
Now, we approved the whole,
We've approved the entire
But-
amount, but the direction was stopped after
I
schematic
think that-
design.
yeah, and so what we could do is make a recommendation, we could support the recommendation so that we get more details, and so forth, and go to the design development phase, and that's the.
And we can easily stop after DD as well.
And no, I mean, basically, we don't move beyond this, it's just a project. This is that project.
Correct. It's just, we're spending on obviously the design portion of it. But eventually, should the project move forward, it's not wasted funds. They can use this design.
We're having a workshop at some point upcoming on all this, on our bond expenditure.
Yeah, probably, well, we were gonna do our priorities, our
That's what-
project priorities, probably not gonna be the kitchen, I mean, we can add the kitchen to it, the intent was-
That's where I'm all coming from. All the increments and encroachments are making decisions for us
Right.
that I'm not comfortable that I'm involved in making, and that makes me uncomfortable. Because I'd rather have choices rather than have choices made for me. And that's my hesitation here.
When is the plan to do that?
So part of the reason why we haven't been able to, and Blake and I had this conversation just last week, part of the reason why we haven't been able to schedule that priorities meeting, because we're still waiting for the true cost estimates for 135th and Aviation, which is a fairly large project, and the Del Air modernization. So I was gonna get to Del Air in just a bit, but basically, we're very close to submitting to DSA, but we're not scheduled to be done with construction documents for Del Air mod until the end of September. So realistically, I won't have a cost estimate until 2 weeks later. So you're looking more like the October board meeting before I can come in and say, this is what these two projects are gonna cost, which remember, these two projects are partially funded by Series B, which will help us determine the rest of our priorities for Series B. So even if I come to you now, I only have half of the information. It wouldn't be fair to waste your time if I can't come in with true estimates.
And I think the other thing too is that, happy to pause the kitchen project, I mean, I think this was a request of the board that we explore this as an option to finish the high school facility. So happy to pause that for now until we do the charrette, if that's what the board wants. Also happy to continue and just get a number. I'd recommend we spend the 80,000 to get a real number, because we're gonna need that real number at one point anyway. And I would just suggest that at least we do it while we have momentum, moving there, and then we could pause, come back, and maybe by then we could put together the priority charrette and really account for, we had I'm sorry, I don't wanna digress, but we had the technology project that was more than what we had anticipated, right? But I just wanna also remind the board that part of that project is also safety and security, so when you put it together, it wasn't $16 million over, it wasn't 10, I mean, there's other parts of our bond project or program that are being addressed by that project. Obviously TK was something that we just weren't anticipating, and actually we were anticipating, it's in our master plan. We're actually saving money
Saving
by not building, but modernizing,
Repurposing.
repurposing.
Right.
Although, it became a nightmare of a project.
But it's
We
still,
love it though.
it's still under.
We love it, Kelly. So anyway, I just want to say, we know that there's some things we're gonna have to reconcile and level set on. Really happy to do that. We look forward to doing it because we also wanna to make sure that we're.
I can't wait to do it
Yeah.
because I'm in limbo right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
he's asking me,
Yeah.
where are we? I'm like,
I keep
I
throwing
think for the-
projects at her.
For the
I know, I'm
timing,
like, we can't keep spending the same money multiple times.
I guess part of the question too, I guess, is if they're redoing what the timeline of the cafe project, which seems to be, which is not included in here,
Right.
how is that impacting?
Cafe's
this
moving.
project?
The cafe is not, the design is essentially done for the cafe. Right now, it's with Da Vinci's team, basically. It's in their court for them to review options. So with some of those options, there's a cost.
Mhm.
So they're reviewing to determine what is their best and most cost-effective option. So
Okay.
I'm hoping that we should hear something back from them next week.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, if we have to have this conversation about the cost sharing around this project and things like that. Just want to make sure that we're staying on a timeline where we can do that if they're moving the cafe project forward and then, you know what I mean?
And one of
Like,
the reasons why we're
that's why I was
treating it
like,
as
we're
a
going to-
project.
Right.
In advance.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather do I'm in favor of moving to the next phase since that project is moving,
Mhm.
just in order to get those numbers so we can actually then get to that conversation that we would need to have.
My thoughts are also to move to the DD phase. But I've also, like Neil, requested, we spoke that we need to circle back, make sure that we're looking at our master plan, looking at our priorities in respect to the bond sale series A, B, and C. Make sure that we're still fulfilling those priorities, and there's some things that now, as Noemi, you mentioned, have gone beyond the budget. So that's gonna come from somewhere, right? It's gonna come from either bond sale C, series C, and I think that's what the exercise we need to do, is look at that and say, okay, what is, making sure that we're still adhering to the priority of the community.
That's the
So-
October presentation you're talking
Correct.
about, right?
Right.
Okay.
It just looked like he was gonna have another question. No, move on to the next. Now, we discussed solar at length at the last meeting. The only reason I brought it up, the dates have not changed. Happy to report, you probably have seen it. We've started at Del Air. The actual steel has already erected. It's already up. We're gonna start installing the actual structure as of next week on Monday. They'll also be delivering the solar panels next week. So as the structures start going up, the panels are going in. Again, just to try to get in and get out as fast as possible. The only reason I'm bringing this to your attention is because we've made a couple of changes in the sequencing of projects. The original order of the solar projects was Del Air, which is still number 1, Holly Glen 2, Aviation 3, and Weisburg being last. I decided to walk the dirt lot from the 135th in Aviation to Aviation, and it just seemed like a very long walk for our teachers. And good thing I did. I brought it up to Dr. Silvers, and he said, "Are there other options?" So I said, I might not have great options, but there is one more that I would have to explore with the other 2 principals, with both Aviation and Weisburg Middle School principal, to make sure they would be okay with that, with the proposed change. So
Let me go back real quick. I have a question
Yes.
on here. I just want to make sure. So I walked the site today. Actually,
Yes.
Michelle and I had an opportunity to walk the site. And I know this project obviously was impacted a little bit because of DSA. So I see the staff parking in the blue there. So we're gonna have staff parked there when the school starts, right?
I'm glad you brought that up. So initially we had, the initial plan was to park on the street. There's plenty of street parking. But again, just to reduce the inconvenience for our staff, we decided to place temporary
So,
fencing.
come August 27th,
Mhm.
are those two are the two areas that I'm looking at, is the contractor still gonna have
As
those
you see
areas?
them, absolutely.
So there will, so basically,
Come
there-
August 28th, however, we're gonna go to green. So just a day later. So I'm pushing
That's great.
okay, so.
side logic. I know,
Yeah,
I
so-
know, trust
so-
me. I'm like, one day, seriously? I'm pushing them to finish a day earlier. But this schedule has already been compressed
Mhm.
as much as possible. Yes.
So I just want to make sure that, I mean, this is a pretty significant change
Right.
to the school site,
Right.
the community. So I just want to make sure that they understand before they come to school what the impact's gonna be, because this is a pretty significant impact. So we gotta,
Absolutely.
uh,
And I've been in
Double check
communication
your-
with the principals in terms of their timelines. But I am happy to work with them developing traffic procedures, a map with some procedures, we can
Okay.
easily do that. But again, I'm hoping that we can pick up the one day. So by the day that school starts, we're at least have freed up additional parking on site.
Does Del Air do a school year's eve? Which is on the 26th. So it doesn't matter. I mean, there's going to be an impact because parents are going to come on campus on the 26th to learn about their kids' classes.
get the message.
Well,
you know.
great, they'll learn there. They'll have a dry run.
I'm just saying.
The next day.
Yeah, that's
Even
right.
if this, I may have missed it, I had asked in our last meeting to check about the viability of using the parking lot, using the concrete
Mhm.
for a parking lot for the teachers.
Which is what they're doing.
So we are doing that.
We are, it's already there.
Yeah.
The fence is already there, it's ready to go. Granted, staff is not there yet.
Mhm.
But the minute that the temp
Perspectives on the
fence,
Field use, but.
On the outdoor
We can
play
find a
space
play
use.
space. We can find a-
That was not the original plan to have the staff parking where it is right now.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the contingency. Okay.
okay, so again, the sequencing has changed, aviation is next. Aviation will start next week, you'll see temporary fencing going up around the solar project. I'm sure Rebecca's really excited to see that, and I'll show you in the next slide. The dates are, basically, we're keeping the same exact dates that Holly Glen had, but we just changed the sequencing.
So just looking at, if you go back to that slide, I just want to make sure I understand. Rebecca, help me out here. 'Cause
Yeah.
The pickup drop off, does that go all the way around?
Yep.
And so will that pickup
I'm
drop
gonna have
off
to
still
walk over
continue?
there.
It's gonna have to go through, which means there's gonna be no third grade drop off anymore. Kim is probably a good person to talk about.
We haven't talked,
Yeah.
and drop off will still be able to occur here. There's still.
Oh,
that will-
even though the red is there. Okay.
During those hours, basically 40 minutes during the morning and 40 minutes.
Okay.
in the afternoon. So it's a temp fence, so they'll
Uh-huh.
push it in. to allow for that.
Got it.
All of those
Okay.
rails, it's happening.
Yay. Okay. Great. We should still send that message to people that how that's gonna work and
The
that
drop off
they'll
will
see
not be
that,
affected.
yeah.
We'll send one out.
So this is what
There's your backup, huh?
There's our backup plan. So
Okay.
to start with aviation now, we are gonna take a portion of the Weisberg Middle School blacktop area. And I
Next to the
think that's
football
an
field.
outdoor soccer area fence.
It's just
Or is
there's nothing there. It's next to the futsal court,
Yeah,
right?
futsal, thank
Yeah.
you. So the futsal will not be,
Right next to it.
Yeah.
that one. Oh gosh,
See the,
That actually works out.
right there. So that, we're not touching that.
Uh-huh.
And I already walked it with Kiana. And she was okay with our plan. This is a fire lane. We are gonna provide access to fire emergency vehicles. So parking will occur basically on the sides, on this side and on
Yeah.
right there. Well, Gosh,
Okay.
you know what I
You
mean.
got it.
Yeah, we got it. We
You
figured,
get an idea.
we know what it is.
I'm ready to throw this away.
I know.
And with enough space for an emergency vehicle, it will have double gates at the top as well as a pedestrian gate. So we reviewed the plan with her. She was okay with it.
Mhm.
It'll be short term.
And she understands that.
Yeah.
So, and it'll make the walk for aviation staff
Do a
a
steps
lot.
competition during that.
So from here, they'll be able to come in, aviation staff, it just go directly straight.
Yeah,
Versus
there's-
before, they had to go from here and completely all around.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
was
there's a
just-
connecting gate
it-
between the two
we-
schools.
We walked it, and it took us about 10 minutes and I wasn't carrying anything. So if I'm a teacher carrying, I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work.
And you avoid them having to walk through Weisberg Forest. That's the area there.
Mhm.
So we will continue with our plan to use the dirt lot for middle school staff. That has allowed us to reduce the footprint without having, because we're gonna be running that lot for both aviation and middle school, so it was gonna be a lot larger, which translated to a lot more expensive. We were getting quotes to get that ready around over $100,000, which is ridiculous just for 10 parking.
So I just forgot, I know you probably said it, Augie, the number of parking spaces on the right-hand side, in the.
The middle school lot.
Correct.
Mhm.
How many? Oh, you're just matching it, right? That was you
We're
said?
not matching it. We're getting about. What did we say? 67?
About 80.
67.
60.
But
There
we
won't
can
be
increase
any,
it.
so I know it says staff parking. You know, I know there are visitors who come to
Correct.
the
and that's what
school
she said,
sites.
That we could reduce it.
Okay,
Sorry, Rebecca?
There's visitors that come to the school sites during the day. So I'm just curious about that, like for aviation, that if all we have is those like 5 spaces, are we just expecting people to park on the streets, I guess, and we're there? Okay.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
again, had we not been delayed,
Yeah.
CSA, we wouldn't be in this.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
predicament
about
at this
parents who
point.
are coming for their kids' IEPs and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
What's the expected completion date on aviation?
Substantial by October 9th. Mhm.
But we're not getting any, that's when we get any of the parking spots back, because that whole area that's in red, it doesn't matter between red and green, frankly, because that's the
still
whole
entire parking
thing.
lot,
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the yellow,
Until you go to yellow,
yeah,
doesn't matter, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I.
so,
Well, technically, yes, October 9th.
October 9th.
Yeah,
And except for like in Del Air, there's more parking space that you gain, and for this one, no.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
you'll
the
get a
only,
few of them back by mid-September, it looks like.
correct. And the
But-
good news is that at least you have the parking here along the front for visitors.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the only, in
Yeah.
comparison to the other sites, they don't have that.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's the spots that are there are a handicap spot, a spot for the principal. I think there's like 3 or 4 that are like already designated, and then there'll be like 3 or 4. Right.
Any,
So-
any chance, talking to the city of Hawthorne, where we can get some allowable parking right there in front of the school?
For those
It's
couple of
allowable.
weeks. It is allowed.
Oh, it is allowed.
That's-
It is, there's only, I think there's like
Small portion.
street sweeping one day.
Okay.
And it's loading and unloading for, drop off and pick up. But
Mhm.
then once the school day starts, it's open.
Just a reminder to everybody why we're doing this.
Yeah.
In addition to the nice little side benefit of sun damage not happening on teachers' cars, which is lovely. More importantly, this is after the first year saving us more than $200,000 a year
Correct.
for 20 years, and then it saves us more than $1 million a year. So this is a fabulous investment. It's gonna pay off, and there's some angst going on right now, but this is all funded without public dollars. So this is pretty exciting stuff.
And good for the environment as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, Holly Glen, so all of the sites have a parking plan. You could see the Holly Glen, which will be the 3rd school.
Mhm.
In the order starting on September 3rd, staff parking will occur along the back of the campus.
Mhm. They have room for them.
They do, they have quite a bit of room. And then Weisberg will be the last, starting on September 16, and will run the longest, obviously. We're expected to be completed, substantially complete by November 8th. And last, just some quick general updates on the other projects that we discussed last board meeting. The data center has since been 100% complete. The last time I showed you, we're still doing punch list. That has been completed. The Del Air roof replacement project, we're very near completion. We should be reaching that by the end of next week. They only have about 3 portables that they're working on. They were working on it today. I was there this afternoon. And they're expected to be completed by the end of this week with the portables. Right now, what they're working on is installing the final roof coat that required 30 days of curing before they could get it on there. So we're right on track. Del Air TK conversion project, that one's also 98% complete. We have, we punched the building last week and the contractor is currently working on the punch list items. They'll be done by the end of next week as well. Weisburn Da Vinci soccer field project is still on track for completion on October 10th. We did experience a little bit of delays with getting the contractor sub out to do the forming of the curbs and all of the concrete work that is necessary before they can actually start working on the field itself, on laying the turf, preparing for the turf. Right now, we're targeting right after Labor Day to start the installation of the carpet. So that is not going to delay our overall project. We're still on track to finish on time on October 10th. And we are looking at potentially scheduling a ribbon cutting ceremony towards the end of October, mid to late October. Something to keep in mind. Holly Glen TK conversion project. The plans have been with DSA. We're actually in the process of responding to DSA comments. The architect is going to submit their final comments to DSA by tomorrow, and we're hoping that DSA approval will follow shortly after, maybe in the next couple of weeks or at the latest in a month. We're still on track to commence in January. We did move the staff over summer. So that rather than moving them over winter break, we discussed this with Lisa. She didn't want to put that out for the teachers to decide. So she decided to move during summer so that they could start the year in their temporary classrooms. That way there's no disruption to learning. And finally, well, no, we have a couple more. Del Air minor modernization project. Again, that one's on track to commence in June. Plans will be ready to submit to DSA at the end of September. SLC features programming location also on track to start June 2025. And just a reminder that we have our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee tour of the sites. Will start here with the Weisburn Da Vinci soccer field at 4 p.m. on Monday. You're all welcome to attend.
And is the plan to go to all the sites or?
The ones that are under construction. So we'll go to Da Vinci and the Weisburn Da Vinci soccer field. We'll take the buses, the vans, and we'll drive over to Del Air.
That was excellent, by the way, thank you. I have one comment, I add one description about the network infrastructure. I just
Yes,
wanted to
please.
talk a little bit about that. I do want to introduce in the back. I don't know if you all got to meet Tony Ramirez. He's sitting back there quiet. Tony is directing technology for the district, implementation specialist, chief technology officer extraordinaire. So really, really happy to introduce him sitting back there and really helping to quarterback some of these. As you saw with the solar project, there's lots of moving pieces. There are very, very similar, well, a similar kind of feel, lots of moving pieces with the network infrastructure. Cable being pulled, clocks being installed, phones, cameras get delivered on Friday, laptops get delivered on Friday. So just lots of things to take in and make sure they get out in a way that's manageable. So looking good, looking slower than we would have liked. You know, things never happen the way that they should, but you know, really happy laptops will be in Friday. We'll get a chance to do some configuration, I think, over the weekend. And then we can start handing out to new teachers on Monday and our teachers that are returning next week. So that we can send the least laptops back, you know, before November. So really, really excited to say that. I will say the clocks look really nice. Now, whether they work or not, we have to test them. Just kidding. They work. but, they look really
They had the
nice.
right time at Del Air.
They had the right time.
I checked, I'm like, okay.
You could hear most of the speakers. And then cameras, like I said, don't know the exact detail. I think we still need to sit down and think about a recovery plan to get those cameras up. Likely to be during the school year, but, lots of cable being pulled, you know, lots of updates to the clock systems. Just look forward to a bigger update next month.
So we'll be ready for the first day of
We
school
will.
in terms of, in terms of connectivity though.
We will
What
be
does that
ready,
mean?
yes, we'll be connected. We'll still be on our old network,
Okay.
or the
Sites.
old network.
Yeah, the site. So we will not have done the switch over. yet.
Correct. Switch
Okay.
over won't happen until probably September at some point. Is that what you're thinking, Tony? Yeah. It's a go home one night,
Yeah.
come the next morning and it's a
Bigger,
new
faster.
deal. It's a new world. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Was that brief?
I mean.
I tried, you guys.
We're asking questions. We're asking questions. Thank you, Noemi. All right, are we going to board member reports now?
Yep.
You are. Start with you at the end over there.
Steve, nice to have you here from Da Vinci. Well, this is, my comments actually may be more relevant to you than us, but I'm happy with this. I know Nelson, this has been something important to you. It's been extremely important to me when I'm talking about is financial education in
Mhm.
schools. And the governor just signed AB 2927, which you're probably familiar with, which now mandated that students have a semester of financial education by the time they graduate high school. That will be required by 2030, but started in 2027. And I think it's a tiny step in the right direction, but a good one. And it reminds us of our role potentially in financial education, probably in coordination with Matt, to help prepare our kids. So when they get to Da Vinci, easy peasy. So that's something I was very excited about to see. We had talked about food at our schools, and I know Chartwell's was the choice, and they had invited me to taste the food, and I'm gonna take them up on it. So if everybody else would like to join me, I don't want to tell them when I'm coming. But would like to, I want to experience what our kids are experiencing and make sure we're doing right by them. So to be determined how to schedule.
I'll go with you.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. That's it for me. And enjoy your summer, everybody. 'Cause- I'm happy to be.
From the new milk coolers, we're gonna get.
Michelle.
Not a lot for me. I just want to acknowledge and just kind of give a shout out to the teachers that are preparing their classes so lovingly. Want to especially thank Olivia Vega, fourth grade teacher over at Aviation, for letting us into her room today. I know it cannot be easy to have three people unannounced. Well, her mom invited us, by the way, walk into that classroom, but it looked beautiful and you can see the love that went into it. And I know that's just repeated over and over again in all of our classrooms. So I want to make sure I acknowledge all those really hardworking teachers that are getting ready and are excited for the new year. And so, yes, and you know, the segue into the site walks today. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be able to do that. It was really, really great meeting the people that are already working hard on those sites, as well as seeing some of the, I'm familiar with Del Air, but wasn't too familiar with the insides of some of the other schools. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Michelle. Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you. I hope everyone has been having a good summer since we last met and get some more time in before we have to get back into the classroom with our kids. I know I'm ready to kick my nap, but they gotta vacate my office where they seem to have taken up residence at home. So but no, thank you to all of the teachers, just echoing what Michelle said, for getting ready to take back over that main task of having our kids for the bulk of the day. It's not an easy task. And thanks also to all of the district staff who've been getting ready to welcome them with all of the new hires that we have on the agenda, both in our special education department and across the district and in other places. Really excited to see all of those things and to get back into a new school year. Clean slate, right, for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Few items for me. Noemi and team, thank you again. I mean, obviously you saw our presentation, you saw the general update, and if you take a look at the sites, a lot going on. So thank you to you and your team for all the work and the great work that's taking place. I also wanted to take an opportunity to thank, I had an opportunity to do the site visit with Michelle today. We walked Weisberg Middle School, Aviation and Del Air. And the classrooms look impressive, the sites look amazing. So not only thank you to the teachers, I have other comments, but we had an opportunity to talk to the landscaping team, the custodians, and they've done a phenomenal job in terms of the deep cleaning and just having the site prepared. They look great. I mean, you get excited for the new year. And if you take a look at Aviation, they just did the entire asphalt, striped it, looks incredible. And I think I'm hearing that the same is going to happen at Weisberg Middle School here soon. So and then the last thing, little plug for our August newsletter. I always like to plug the newsletter. A lot of great information in there that again welcomes everybody back, and a lot of great information with the hubs there. So take a look at that. Basically, anything, all the back to school information is there for the parents. And again, I just, as a board, we had a recent meeting where we went over policies and kind of strategic thinking and planning, all in preparation for this new school year. Also excited that we're going to have 2 new programs, Capturing Kids' Hearts and the Eureka Math Square, that we're going to implement this year. So it's very exciting. And I think I had one more item, and I forgot to write it. So because I forgot to write it, I'm going to forget to mention it. But oh well. Just excited for the new year. One last item, Noemi, I just saw it here. CalShape program was just recently suspended by the California Energy Commission. You don't have to answer it now. You can come back later. I just want to know eventually how that impacts us, because we were obviously working on that program. And that's it for me. Just excited for the new year. Oh, and congratulations on the summer camp. Summer camp was amazing. I think 1,100 students. It's in the newsletter. Biggest summer camp. Great partnership with Da Vinci. So I heard nothing but great feedback from everyone that participated. I think Rebecca, even your kids were part of that.
That's right.
So,
Yep. My little one was there. So for
That's
the first
it.
week.
That's it. So enjoy this little summer break, because school is coming back. We're starting school here. Blake, turn it to you.
Yes, absolutely. You have a map update?
We
Maggie?
do.
Okay.
Very exciting.
I
So
think you
next
need to
week-
actually walk over to the, until we get the cordless
Yes,
mics that are
no
coming
worries.
soon, right, Tony?
I hope
Are we
so.
getting the cordless mics? The bundling.
So exciting news. On the 20th and the 21st, we have 2 optional professional development days in which 68, and that could be a growing number, TK through 5th grade teachers signed up for to come learn and discover our new instructional tool, Eureka Math. So this is an exciting time. They're going to be coming in, doing a lot of exploring with this tool and how we're going to integrate it into our everyday instruction in our elementary grades. As well as the materials are here. It looks like Christmas at our school sites of math and manipulatives and textbooks. They were all delivered about within the last couple of weeks, and Holly Compton, our math specialist, as well as our library techs, have been unpacking and unboxing and separating and delivering to teachers' classrooms. So our goal is hopefully by the end of next week, all of those will be in classrooms ready to go. Yeah.
I feel like Erica needs to do an unboxing video
No.
with the kids with the math. Come on.
We're not Legos.
Trying to get me.
Moving on, okay,
Yes,
so we
yeah,
have
move on.
Nisha's gonna share a update and then follow that up with a couple more presentations.
Yeah, so before our kiddos come back on August 27th, our teachers will be back next week, or actually starting tomorrow. We have a crisis prevention intervention training tomorrow. We have 62 total staff members attending. Once again, these are all optional trainings, and got quite a number of our staff attending. And then Monday is our new teacher or new staff orientation. So all new Weisberg class of 2024 folks will be on site, getting information about Weisberg, and then treated to lunch by WFA at CPK in Manhattan Beach. Maggie shared Tuesday and Wednesday, we have for elementary school teachers, we have math training. 85% of our elementary math teachers will be attending this training. Once again, optional, and very, very excited and thrilled that so many of our teachers will be coming in for the training. At the same time on Tuesday and Wednesday, the middle school will be having their optional middle school institute for the teachers and staff. So they will all be at the middle school getting prepared for the kiddos coming back. Thursday, grand finale starts with Capturing Kids' Hearts, our 2-day training. On that day, we have 111 staff members coming. So that's middle school, elementary, all of our staff, leading to almost 78% district-wide staff attending an optional training. And then Friday is a contractual day for our certificated staff members. So they're all going to be there, as well as 34 classified staff members. So Dr. Ingram was able to capture an additional training from Capturing Kids' Hearts, and the classified staff members are getting trained that day. And so those, once again, optional, they're getting paid for the day, but they're coming in as well. And then Tuesday, first day of school, also want to give a shout out to Connecta. As always, they are providing our luncheon for us, for all of our teachers, all of our staff. And so I'll let Blake share more about that day, but just wanted to thank Connecta in advance for that. Next week, along with all this training, Tony Ramirez and the IT guys are going to be handing out the new laptops for our certificated staff members. And so we anxiously waited all summer, and they delivered, and they're going to be here and ready to go. And so our new teachers will get them on Monday, and then the rest of the teachers will be able to pick them up Tuesday through Friday in the middle school library. So it's going to be an exciting week next week of professional learning, of math textbooks, as well as a new laptop and laptop bag that folks will be able to utilize. So that is the update in terms of professional development.
Thank you.
Then we have, Maggie's gonna give a gate update. You have a presentation for this.
Yeah, I'm going. Some updates about our GATE program. Oh. We're having a few changes this school year to our GATE program. Our main goal is we do enrichment, which means it's outside of our school day, in which our identified GATE learners will be coming to opportunities after school. This is a 3rd through 8th grade program that's happening. And during that time, we enrich our students by ensuring that they have great leadership skills. They are, have a healthy self-concept of themselves, hitting up their creative aspects as well as career awareness, and then just making sure that we develop their intellectual and problem-solving skills. Wrong way, apologize. This year, a few shifts that are going to be happening is typically our 3rd graders all take what's called the LSAT to identify if they are qualified for GATE education. This typically happens around the end of November, December range-ish, and then they participate in the enrichment program in the winter time. We're going to have a quick shift to that and actually perform that assessment in mid-September due to shifting our enrichment program, which in the past we've done it with STAR, and we are going to be moving to using ProSolve. And this is a program that comes with the Cisco purchase that we did, in which it really hits those 4 C's of education. It is very engaging, in which kids are going to be like landing in an alter reality and having to solve their way out of this as a team. And so it hits all of those skills in which our enrichment program was after. It's going to actually run 10 times the school year for 2 hours at a time, October through April of 2025. So we want to end before spring break to start gearing up for our assessments for the end of the school year. So that is one of the reasons why we're shifting that LSAT in 3rd grade, was to ensure they can get into that program right away. And instead of STAR, who we've contracted out, we are going to tap into our own employees to help run this program. During our ProSolve days, so in September, kind of our timeline and how our communications are going to go out, we're going to notify all of our families about the assessment of LSAT, because parents do have the opportunity to opt out of it if they would like. We'll go ahead and inform everyone if they've been qualified or not, inform our community about the program. Sign up window will close, and then we're going to begin on, our fingers crossed, October 22nd for our first enrichment after school time. These are going to happen within our teachers' classrooms that volunteer to do the program. a little bit different this year is we're using our own employees for this. So the program runs where you're gonna have groups of 6 kids. There'll be 5 groups of 6 kids with 1 instructor. And they're gonna be all doing what's called a season of quest. Our little guys, our 3rd through 5th graders are gonna be doing season 1, and then our middle school kids will be tapping into season 2, just because the engagement that they had suggested and we researched would be better fit for the middle school kids. So our looks are having about 12 of our staff members sign up for this additional work. During this, they're going to be doing a 3-hour training with ProSolve on how to use the program. And then they'll be with 20 hours with the students for the entire, from that October to April timeline. What's great is that ProSolve comes within the package that we've already purchased with Cisco. So typically we would be using a contract with Star. We're going to be using our own funds for GATE with a $10,000 for our staff members. And then the purchase of our OLSAT assessments is typically around $7,000. So this program will cost $17,000, where in the past it was closer to $40,000. Those are the big differences.
So my
Yes.
question is
Go ahead.
and I don't know if it's laid out, is it twice a month and what are the hours? Is it 3 to 4?
It's gonna be right after school time, so 3:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
And we have the dates laid out. We're doing it on a day we were tapping into our principals, and Tuesdays look like the best day for staffs to have that after school enrichment. So when we send out that communication to the community, they'll be very clear on what those days are ahead of time.
Okay.
And I save the dates as well.
But it's not consecutive 10 weeks. It's gonna be
No,
some
it's
sort of.
gonna be spread out.
Okay.
I know we have a multi-year engagement with Cisco on this rolling out program. Do we have a multi-year engagement for the ProSolve program?
Yeah, we do. We get 2 years of these seasons with ProSolve. And so we're gonna be using part of our package more or less to kind of try it out to see where it's gonna fit in every day with our TK through 8th grade students. We're really using them also as our own data point of how we can roll this out district-wide.
I'm assuming if by chance we don't have enough qualifying students, if we make it available to others. I don't know what the thinking is on that.
So the thinking is long-term that everybody's gonna have some kind of access to this.
Great.
I think as we need to figure, we like this as a good pilot. To have our GATE students, engage with this, and then because it's part of our contract with Cisco, we can include everybody. So let's give this a run, see how it goes, and then roll it out to
To know that it's rolling out potentially to even more, I mean, the opportunity of experiential project solving, creative thinking, learning, you can't beat that.
Right.
We have an average of how many students we serve each year.
Each year, it depends on the school site, so it's a little bit different at each site. Our middle school housing the most GATE students right now is somewhere around 120. I'm gonna give you some rough
Yeah.
estimates.
I guess I'm thinking about this, the scope of how many kids we're able to service through this as a pilot,
Mhm.
and then potentially how many we can serve, what if we bring it to the broader student population.
So we'll make this accessible to all of the GATE students, and then I'll be able to inform you on what the signups looked like and the participation looked like. And then from there, use that as a data point for, is this something, we want to do it broader.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving down, I know Monique is online, so she's gonna give a presentation. I'm just kidding. Monique's on. I was just gonna, I'm messing with her.
Your heart palpitations from the screen from afar.
I'm messing with her a little bit. We do have a safety wellness update. You wanted to talk a little bit about cell phones. No, we have brought up the option of potentially using these sealed boxes or lock boxes essentially. At the front of classrooms and a plan. I know the middle school actually had come up with a potential bell schedule and a plan for that. And some conversation with some of our principals, conversation with Monique, taking a look at some of the data. I don't know if you saw recently, Governor Newsom sent out a notification urging cell phone restriction. Tony Thurman, Superintendent Thurman also did the same thing. So in light of that, we do feel we need we need to make a more targeted effort at like the process and the policy before we make decisions about, locking phones or banning phones. So we are gonna go back to a little bit more of a strict cell phone policy. in our upper elementaries. It'll be all elementary, our upper elementaries where it's most prevalent, as well as the middle school, a little bit more. I mean, it gets a little more punitive than we like. You have to do confiscation and have parents pick phones up. We used to do this. We used to do this very well at the middle school with banker bags, and you mark them and you store them and all of that. Just to try to cut down. For two things will happen. A, maybe that works, it's least restrictive and we don't have to buy a bunch of boxes and store and lock phones. And then B, the other option is it gives us some data points to see how prevalent this actually is. And are a majority of our students locking their phones up or securing their phones in their backpacks and not using them? I mean, we need to get those data points before we make a more radical decision or a more yeah, I guess radical is the right word, a more radical decision to lock phones up and actually ban phones physically. So moving into the school year, that's our plan. Monique was gonna give a nice overview on some of that. Unfortunately, she can't be here today, so I'm just doing it in she would have done much better, but I'm just doing that for you all, to let you know where we are.
You had sent an advisory to us about this, which I appreciated, and I've been kind of pushing this a bit as well, and I actually appreciate the pause to say, what does the data say?
Mhm.
And I'm wondering about one of the data points is, what have we talked to the teachers? Have we got teachers' feedback? Is this a problem in the classroom? I don't know.
Right.
And I'd like to have that data point in addition to the other issues. All right, so thank you.
Okay.
That's it, Blake?
That's it. Oh, no, it's not. I forgot to tell you. Let me roll this scroll. Just a few things from me today. I have I want to say that, I really appreciate and just want to echo, your all commitment coming. So we had our second board workshop. I think Nelson shared that. So I really want to thank you for the thoughtfulness of that. Talking about policies, talking about evaluations, talking about priorities and all of that. I think it's just really important. We've had some good conversations about how to best align some of those, priorities, establishing priorities, at least monitoring those priorities, et cetera. So thank you for that. I really appreciate, you all. I know it's you all have full-time jobs and work, and thank you for making the time to do this. Appreciate that. Also today we had our how-to as our third how-to, just to refresh the board. At the end of June, we do 2 days leadership retreat. We call it how-to. We do one again in August, just had it today, and then we'll do another one in January, February, where we kind of midway through the school year have a chance to take a look. Our priorities at our actions today was a PLC day. Want to thank Maggie. Great job today, leading the team, kind of introducing everything. She made Rice Krispie treats for everybody. So but it was a nice event, a really nice event I just want to thank the teachers who were here. Kelly was here, she's not here now, but I want to thank her for her time. Everybody, it was a really engaging day. Michelle came, thank you for stopping by as well. Got to really have these conversations about the PLC work, about meeting norms, about, reviewing data, looking specifically at math and English, which I thought, kind of at the end of the day today, it was just a nice opportunity to get people together and talk teaching. So
Planning the roadmap for the year.
exactly.
I got that.
So really nice. Thank you to David Stewart. He led Dr. Stewart from Solution Tree for doing that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Eileen Malat, who really quarterbacked the league, made sure everything was set up just so that the day was a nice day. We look at breakfast in the morning and or snackish kind of thing. Breakfast is an overstatement, but breakfast kind of thing.
Continental
And
breakfast.
then, so very nice. So just wanted to share that. Also wanted to talk about a meeting we had. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Christina ran a meeting for us on Portrait of a Learner. We did bring Tom Edard did present to this board about AI, but part of that is looking at portraits of a learner. Maggie and Nisha also, were at that meeting. Matt was at the meeting. Michelle and Aaron Whalen. Just a really nice opportunity for us to take a look at how we can find these connection points between the two organizations, how we can look at our learners from TK to 12 plus and see what are the profiles of those people, those individuals, those humans, those students. We're just at the start. So I have nothing more concrete than to say we're we're giving it a go and we're gonna see what we can end up with, but really excited about being in the room and having the conversation, and a lot more to come. So, good start for us. Also wanted to thank board members today, Michelle and Nelson, for joining me on the site walk today. I echo your comments. I'll leave them at that. I think that just really nice to see the campuses. And then comms and social media, you know, thank you for Nelson pointing out the newsletter in August. I also have a chance to confidentially peruse Instagram and social media. I don't particularly like social media, but I do like to peruse, you know, Instagram and look at our posts and all of that. And, you know, behind that's a lot of work. And, you know, I've been called by 4 or 5 districts about who does your social media. You know, Erica does our social media with Maria and her team. She has a team of folks that do that. Well, what was really impressive to me is that a lot of the comments that need answers are answered on Instagram. Like literally, they take the time to answer every comment pretty much that needs. I mean, obviously, you don't comment to the yay or the awesome and things like that, but when there's a question about something, you know, there's a place people are actually reaching out and getting responses, or at least being directed in the place they need to go. And I texted her late one night. I said, "This is amazing. You know, you're reading through it. That's just a lot of time and attention, and more importantly, care. You know, that goes into that, wanting to solve and you know, wanting to be that piece and that support." So I had to say that just because I saw it, and I just felt it important to put that out there. We also have, I wanted to, you know, invite the board. We are doing our opening day ceremony, if you will. That is on the 27th, first day of school. We do have a short day that day. Done at 11:45, I think, Nisha, is that right? 11:45, about, give or take. Starting at 12, we'll do our lunch, taco truck, or taco stand-ish type thing. Connecta, thanks to Connecta. And then 1 o'clock, we'll do some priority. We're going to talk through our priorities for the school year. You all will hear that very soon in our presentation, but so will staff at that particular meeting. And then we're going to have a keynote address by Travis Allen, actually the founder of ProSolve, but he is really a disruptor in education, really a big proponent of one-to-one devices in classrooms back in 2017 or 16. And now has really evolved that conversation into AI, just this continuing evolution of education and what skills are really important in the 21st century or now for students to have, to include, you know, AI, machine learning, all of these things. So with that being said, you know, really make it to that. He's definitely an engaging speaker. I think Nelson had an opportunity to see him. I've had an opportunity several times as well. So
That's 12 o'clock.
right. So the key, sorry,
The time.
12 to 1 will be the lunch. 1 o'clock to 1:30-ish is going to be the priorities. We're going to talk district priorities, and then we'll introduce Travis. It'll go 1:30 to 3. This is the tentative plan. If I don't talk too much, I'm going to try.
Can I was just reflecting, we've had brought speakers in over the years and enjoyed them. Can we record these? Let's create a library.
Sure. I think we can. I will have to check with ProSolve. Do you mind reaching out to them about that? See if they're okay with us going on. Sometimes they don't.
I understand.
Yeah.
Right there, but yeah. We sign a non-disclosure or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then did want to share too that we are looking, Noemi shared that we are looking at doing a groundbreaking of sorts, or an opening, grand opening, I guess, groundbreaking happening. But the grand opening for the soccer field, I mean, we literally talked about that about 3 hours ago. So this is not, we have no plans. We absolutely will have to talk to Vicente and Matt and team to figure out how we do this and how we honor this day. We just happened to talk to a vendor who's willing to help support it financially. So that'd be good to have some stuff. So anyway, very early in the conversation, sometime in October, maybe we can get that together. We'll work with our partners at Da Vinci to try and figure out what day works best for everybody. Enjoy that grand opening. That's all for me.
All right, thanks, Blake.
Thank you.
All right, any comments from the public on agenda items? No, okay. We'll go to consent items. Do I have a motion for 9.1? And I personally do have a comment on 9.3.
So moved.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Drinking violets today. What's happening over there?
Thank you, thank you, Rebecca. Do I have a second?
Second.
Gonna ask a
Uh,
couple of questions, a comment on 9,
Yeah.
8, and 9.
which one?
9, 8, and 9.
9.8,
9.3,
9.9. Okay, that's Neil.
You know, I think I know your question on nine A.
9.8.
Go for it.
So Dr. Goldman was asking about, one of the POs it's under Noemi. Noemi, sorry, you're here. Noemi, we're gonna talk about you a little bit. It should not be, it was a mistake. It should be NAZ.
That was just one of my questions.
Yeah.
You're gonna go.
You wanna go ahead, Jason?
Yeah. It's just we gotta fix it. It's been a challenge to get it fixed once we put it in, but it was put in back in 23, so something we're gonna get fixed.
And my understanding is we're actually under budget on it.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
tribute to the good work you're doing. Thank you.
Was that, sorry, so I didn't mean to jump to that.
That was the primary one, the PV, is it PVK? I'm not looking at it, I think it's PVK, there were 2 items for PVK.
Under receipts as well.
Right,
POs.
and I was,
POs.
I'm sorry?
POs.
POs.
2 POs, thank you. And I guess with our conversation earlier, I was a little confused as to, I know we approved them, I think actually approved in our last meeting. I just was confused as to what we were covering with that. I just forgot.
Well, are you talking about the actual approval of the PBK work? Or like
These particular expenditures.
On
I'd
the
have to-
actual receipts. I mean,
On the
Those
POs.
300K items.
can you pull that up?
Yeah.
Jessica? Is that possible that you could just?
I have to-
It's a one is for Measure EE additional funds, 393,000.
I remember we approved this, but I'm just
And the
kinda
other
getting-
one's
there's so many
cafe and
floating
kitchen.
numbers there, I just wanna get my head-
Yeah, so I don't think we'll pull that up, but just keep in mind, we bring items, and I would say of significance that are gonna be over a certain,
Right.
we bring that to the board to report on those pieces. This is an extra layer of the PO report that will additionally put, like, the PBK may have come to board, it was approved.
I know, I remember it was
Yeah.
approved.
Yeah, just asking what it is.
What it was,
What it was.
yeah, especially in light of the conversation, that they're working on the surgery and the.
Right.
Yeah, so the Measure E Da Vinci Cafe and Kitchen, that's the 339,000 that we discussed earlier, that was brought up at the June 12th board meeting for approval. And I can't see the other
Additional
amount.
funds, the one right above it, says
The-
additional funds.
Yeah, it's,
No, that's the original service agreement.
Okay.
one says
Additional
Measure
funds.
EE additional funds for 393,000.
That was the one in June, I believe.
No, the June was 339,
Application.
correct. I'm not sure what that additional funds is because we have not brought,
Was it the TK conversion? Are they doing that one too?
No.
Or the
not
field,
PBK.
135th and aviation?
Can we look before we pass this item? You should
Absolutely.
probably-
Yeah, let me look at the.
Thank you.
Before we, should we recess for 2 minutes?
Well, I had a question on another item in this category, so we buy some
Yeah,
time.
and I have a comment too.
Yeah, so why don't you do yours?
Yeah, my comment is regarding the 24-25 diversity, equity and inclusion resolutions. I actually support all the resolutions that are listed here. Obviously, these resolutions are issues that are important they're important to this board, and are issues that we obviously feel that are important, and we set the general standards to ensure that we fulfill those items, if you will. And then there's also the cultural groups that we want to recognize recognize them for their contributions to society. What I wanted to make with regards to comment, and I guess it's a request, is that I want to ensure, and there's one, for example, that I'm looking at that I know is not on here, and it's a recent proclamation of a resolution that the governor just signed in June regarding immigrants. What I would like to do is request that staff develop a criteria. And I'm assuming that the criteria that we probably have in place right now is issues that come from this governing board that we feel that it's important. Perhaps LA County Office of Education, resolutions that maybe they pass that we follow. But I also want to make sure that whatever that criteria is, it might be multiple. It might be items that are important to this board. It might be local LA County resolutions that we also consider adopting, or the state of California I want to come up with some criteria to ensure that we are not missing anything, any particular resolution or missing any particular group. So that's the request that I would have, is that take a closer look and make sure that we're looking at all those different elements.
And I know we talked about that too.
Yeah.
Nelson, thank you for that. And I would say we do have a DEI working group with the district. I think Monique can help. She leads that. Michelle's on it.
I'm on it.
Beth is on it. So I think that what I'll do is work with Monique. She can put together some criteria.
We did
Well,
look,
and we probably have, we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more of a
Right.
formalize it a little bit so that we all understand what.
More opaque,
Yeah.
less opaque.
Yeah.
So when something is on there, you know it's passed through this filter at least, or some sort of vetting process before it gets there. I would also want to share about this, just to clarify this particular agenda item. We're not approving any language to these resolutions. This is set this late. And so I'm just clarifying that that's where we're going here today.
yeah, and
It's my-
can I just add to that,
Yeah.
that I was just happy to see, there are some new things on here for this year. And I know that that was part of, the conversations that came from the DEI committee, and which includes parents and community members, staff members, and all of that. So just, thanks to Monique for all of her work and making sure that we were responsive. There was also surveying that went out to folks to do this. And I think I feel like the list is very representative and responsive to some of the concerns we've heard in previous years, and ensuring that we are continuing to live into those vision and values that we, talk about, of recognizing everyone. So I was really pleased to see the list that ended up coming before us.
I just think we probably need to do a better job. We need to do a better job of making sure you all know what this process is. What are the surveys that are going out, and, it's a surprise to you. So I know, you've been involved in this process, but I mean, I think as a collective, we should present to you exactly what that is.
Yeah.
I also feel like this is I agree with your comments about Monique. I think she put a lot of time and energy into making sure that people are addressed and feeling included.
Well, and I think it's the selection process, right? Because you could do 20 different things in any given month, right? So
Yeah,
the
exactly.
understanding what the selection process is, once we have all of that input, it would be great.
And I do think Monique does a really nice job in presenting when these resolutions are before us. And personally, I prefer her recent approach of presenting and illustrating how we are implementing this, as opposed to reading the resolution, because I think that's actions speak louder than words. And I think that's a testament when we're seeing how we're doing this each month at the respective school sites.
Mhm.
It's very
Yeah.
helpful to have an idea of how this is rolled out and what this is actually gonna look like for our students.
I know, Emmy.
Hi. Sorry. To answer your question, I'm not sure why the PO listing is showing it that way, but the 393 is made up of the original amounts for PBK's original contract, 300,000 for the 135th in aviation, $75,000 for the soccer field project, and $18,000 that we recently brought as an amendment to their contract for reimbursement of DSA fees. They paid for the DSA fees, and we were simply reimbursing them. You add those up, it's 393,000
And the other 300 was the.
for the kitchen and
kitchen
cafe.
alone.
Correct.
Right.
Thank you.
One other item was just, and this seems so immaterial to the other numbers we're talking about, but it is a process thing. It's 9-9 on the volleyball poles, and it made me wonder, do we have a process to ensure any of the equipment that's used by people using our facilities are taking care of those facilities? And are we observing if they're not and calling them to help us with that? Or is it just, I don't know, if it's standard wear? Again, this is a small expense, but just the bigger picture of on our field and everything, how are we monitoring and making sure we're keeping everything in its best condition?
Yeah, we're constantly assessing the equipment. This is something, custodial staff are in that room on a regular basis. They help out with the setup and tear down. So, we're regularly checking in, and we did get feedback, also from the entity, and then we were able to verify that. I had pictures, and so, but as we check in, and we have good relationships with all the entities and so they do tell us if there's some issues there, and we usually work out collaboratively. But overall, custodial staff on a regular basis, since they're involved, especially in the gym use, they're giving us.
They're seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. We have a civic center person, one of our facilities is meant for that civic center. You can get so much use on there. And actually, we should probably replace these nets even a little more than we do. Because I mean, you figure every day you have volleyball in that gym, they're hitting the nets. These are high quality nets, but definitely something that they wear out.
Yeah,
So it's just.
I didn't know.
Yeah, we have a process though.
Yeah, that was the question. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on consent items? All right, all in favor?
Hi.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Quick.
That wasn't quite consent.
We probably should have been pulled for discussion as an item, okay.
Action items, general, do you have a motion for 10.1 through 10.3?
Do we need to do district priorities separately?
Where's-
That's 10-1.
That's 10.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
So no,
I moved 10
No,
one.
no, no.
second that.
Yeah, just
Move
10-1.
10-1.
What did I do here? Hold on.
Good catch, man.
All right, are we ready? Ready to take it away?
Go.
So, okay, my 10-1. It's completely different.
Yeah, it is totally different.
Mine is approved classified management personnel.
That should have been 918.
Yep.
That one was moved into
That's why,
consent.
that's why I was like, we could take these three.
Right.
It's
just mistyped.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
all right.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was mistyped on his
on my.
vote
document.
thing. It,
You mistyped it.
yeah,
Oh,
10-1 doesn't say district priorities. It repeats
Classified.
918. Yeah. So,
Okay, so we are, every year, last year we did it in September, this year, we're trying to keep, improving every year, and we get it to you a little bit earlier, but I want to thank, obviously, the how-to process. I shared those meeting dates with you all. We have an opportunity to bring our teacher leaders together. We have an opportunity to bring our district leadership together. We have an opportunity to look at data, to look at our student assessment data, look at STAR data, also gathering feedback from the school board. We gathered info on the importance of mathematics, for instance, financial literacy, that Maggie's working on now, as well as student wellness and safety, looking at our wellness program. So this year, 24-25, you'll see a document that looks very similar. But as you know, or if you have seen in the past, we do break our priorities into particular areas. Teaching and learning covers our assurances of whole child and future ready. Looking at priority 1, it's improving student achievement in English language arts through the continued implementation, growth and monitoring of research-based instructional practices, highlighting that last phrase there because that's the change. And I did share this as we were looking over the review or the evaluation of our priorities from last year, that this spoke to readers and writers workshop in the past. And we wanted to pull that out more as a strategy, as one of these research-based instructional strategies, but there's more because we're also looking at some literacy strategies, science of reading, as we know how important that is to students. So anyway, just showing that difference from 23-24 to 24-25. And then looking at the actions, a lot of them are changed. These are strategic actions under that priority, utilizing leadership time, teacher collab. We're calling all of it collaboration time so that it's aligned. Leadership collaboration time was formerly known as ADCO. So when we talk about leadership collaboration time, that would be our principals meetings, ADCO, anytime we're bringing our leadership teams together. Guiding coalitions, obviously, we've heard of those. Teacher collaboration time, which have been really, really well used throughout our district for lesson development, data analysis, and looking this year at our mission critical PLC processes. Moving down, we have a committee that's going to look and prioritize elementary resources. And our focus, we were talking about an adoption for the upcoming year for ELA, but did have some conversations with Ed Services team. Maggie shared some insight based on science of reading, materials, maybe not looking at a full adoption, but looking at some of the literacy tools that are out there, getting a team together to take a look at those to bring back. Maintaining consistent elementary bell schedules, that's a rollover from last year, really looking that we have alignment between reading and writing, and also being able to allocate those resources that we may have, whether it be intervention, EL supports. We have that time just to be able to allot to that. administering regular benchmarks. We bring those to the board on a quarterly basis. We'll continue to do those. I'm also using IAB blocks, interim assessment blocks. And really continuing number 5, there's just so important is our win time, pod time at the middle school. Looking at ways that we're able to personalize, we're able to differentiate instruction, and we're able to use assessment strategies to support student growth. This takes a long time to click, doesn't it? You really were mad at this thing. Priority 2, we needed a clicker. Priority 2 is mathematics. This is a focus priority for this year again. It's improving students' achievement in mathematics across grades TK to 8. Identifying and utilizing high-quality mathematics resources and teaching strategies with an intentional focus on positive student outcomes in mathematics. You'll see that's also a highlighted portion. It talks about CGI strategies. And again, pulling out that specific strategy, we could place that in an action if we want, but really wanting to focus on varied instructional strategies that may support student outcomes, positive student outcomes. Moving on to this, enhancing lesson plan and data analysis, again, guiding coalitions, TCT sessions, leadership, collaboration, conducting math-focused trainings. We have Eureka Squared. I know Maggie and her update shared that we're going to have an intro to Eureka Squared coming up. We have our Coatson mentors. Really happy that we had an additional Coatson fellowship at Aviation, which is really nice. We also have Emma Smiley, over at Del Air. Maintaining grade level aligned math instruction with strategies refined through teacher support release days. This is going to allow us to build common assessments. It's going to allow us to have conversations about lesson achievement. Implementing STAR math and interim assessments. Again, some of this is the same. We bring this back to the board so that you could sort of see what the progress is throughout the school year. We also will be developing those common formative assessments as part of our PLC process. We're going to continue utilizing math framework, Common Core standards, and CGI. There it is in the actual actions for lesson design and practices. Refining and expanding win and pod time. Going to see that over and over again, or at least from the first to the second, just how important this time is. Repeating what I said on the last slide, it's about that personalization. You can see it here for personalized support in mathematics. And being able to accelerate if we need to, being able to offer some enrichment for students that may get it, be able to support those that may not. Providing ongoing coaching and resource implementation through the math specialist and TOSA. You see that for the first time. We did post and close a mathematics TOSA for the middle school. Nisha, when are we doing that interview? Do you know?
Next week.
Next week.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna hopefully have somebody in place next week so that we can start that process. So we're adding to the support system here at the middle school. And then focusing on that adoption this year, research shows that these new resources do yield positive student outcomes. Really want to make sure teachers are supported in that, make sure that those series are rolled out and that we have the right support for that. Then priority number 3, this is improving student access and achievement in science. We did pull this out, and you know what? Next year we will. Elevating STEM scopes, that is the curriculum. Looking at adding new digital arts course for 6th grade at Wiseburn Middle School, and that's going to focus on coding. So that's something the board has actually brought to us in the past, wanting to look at coding as this new language, or not as a new language, but as a language, being able to provide those opportunities for students to do that earlier and earlier. Using tech labs, esteem labs, integrating NGSS activities and coding as part of students venturing to those STEAM labs, so that you're getting that instruction there as well. Providing professional learning for Wiseburn Middle School science teachers to really enhance that cross-grade planning, starting that articulation so that the story of science really is aligned across 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Incorporating our interim assessment blocks. I shared that. Again, that's really the extent of that data point that we can get back, other than common formative assessments that we'll get back through the PLC process. Moving on to the next big block, student safety and wellness. We believe this falls, or we have categorized this under the assurances of community and collaboration. And it's looking at this in 2 ways. So the priority reads: ensure school safety and engage students in authentic ways that bolster trust, connection, and an overall well-being through a collaborative process that that includes educational partners. The highlighted piece is the addition or the change. So looking at safety, we kind of pulled out safety separately. This is dealing more with like the physical safety of a campus or you know, being in line with law enforcement agencies. You see that regular dialogue with local law enforcement. I'm happy to share that our middle school and I believe upper elementary school will participate in a basketball program with Hawthorne Police and other middle schoolers and upper elementary students across Hawthorne. Ensuring all staff complete ATLAS violent critical incident training. That's become a part of our training. You know, really how we deal with any type of active or violent incident that happens on campuses. Certifying an internal leadership team for nonviolent crisis intervention training. That's new. This is awesome. This is our opportunity to be able to train as many people as we can in non-crisis intervention, how to deal with kids who are having a tough day and it becomes physical or it doesn't. How do you de-escalate? Monique again helped put this on with Kim. You know, Kim's here as well, and their leadership put together a group of folks who went through the train the trainer model. So now they can come back. So we have that resource here on our campuses to be able to train folks here. When's that training, Kim? I'm sorry, I should have. For NCI training. When's our NCI training? Tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow. Annually reviewing and updating our comprehensive safe school plans. And I want to point out too, it's not just about emergency response. It's also about your goals for a safe site and your goals for student wellness. That's all part of the comprehensive safe school plan. Oftentimes people get it confused that it may just be what you do if there's a fire, what do you do if there's an earthquake or whatnot. But it really does require school leadership to take a look at their school site. What proactive measures are you going to take to make sure that it stays safe, that the site itself, the physical space, is safe, and also what are we doing to create connected environments? You know, what are we doing for students so they feel connected to the site? Monitoring and refining safety upgrades. We are doing a massive overhaul of our PA systems, massive overhaul of our camera systems, thanks to the community who helped by passing a bond. Conducting crisis communication team meetings and tabletop exercises. The goal of this, so that there's not a surprise at 10 o'clock at night, you know, on a Wednesday, and all of a sudden there's a threat we're addressing at 10 and don't know how to address it. And now we're flipping through papers and calling and in a state of crisis or panic even, rather than in a state of confidence from having been through it or drilled it. So we're going to go through that. We did start that last year. Jason helped lead that process. We're going to move into it again this year with a little bit more vigor, making sure that we have those protocols and processes in place. And then hosting meetings with principals to review the safety plan updates. Those end up coming back to the board. We also do review those with law enforcement. So we'll send those over to HPD. We'll send those over to the county fire and the county sheriff for review. And then student wellness. So that was safety. Now we look at student wellness. And so we broke this up into 5. SWS is our student wellness and safety. That's what we call it. That's our acronym, one of the many. So our SWS practices in education, we're launching Capturing Kids' Hearts. That's a huge launch this year. Starts again next week. Staff training, student engagement. There's going to be regular family communication. And there's processes and surveys by which we can, there are surveys which will provide us a process to monitor. You know, we can gather data and we can present that data to the board as well as look at it at our leadership as we engage in PLC processes at the district leadership level. Looking at the counseling program, we're going to update protocols for more effective counseling intervention. Really working on that next phase, which is strengthening that triage to identify those students that are in need. I know, Neil, you've talked about that. You know, how are we looking and finding those students, strengthening interventions at each tier and enhancing data-driven practices for ongoing monitoring. You know, we do have a very healthy counseling staff, very proud of the counseling team and just excited to see their work. Moving on to attendance. Attendance is king, attendance is money. But more importantly, attendance is a good way to kind of tell whether a student is feeling connected to school, right? A lot of times when you look at student engagement and research, you're looking at attendance. You're looking at whether a student wants to be there. So we're revising practices, implementing attendance intervention suite. That's part of Power School. The board already adopted that. We're yet to put it into practice. It'll go into practice this year. And that's just a more proactive way of getting information out to families and for us to be able to gather data quicker on students' attendance patterns and behaviors, training staff on that, streamlining communications, again, as part of the suite, which is streamlining that communication between families and the school. And then looking at our culture and climate, DEI particularly, we're looking at establishing that DEI statement. Part of this, our working group and our DEI committee would help do that, updating our policies related to equity and inclusion. And probably could add to this then, looking at our resolutions and how are we doing that? I think that all fits into this, into this particular strategic action. And overall, just trying to find ways to educate staff, students, and the community and really celebrate inclusivity and diversity. And then behavior. Like we shared our new cell phone sort of pathway or path journey towards cell phone restrictions and those behavior practices. And, we know we need to provide staff training, not only on cell phone, but also on behavior management and looking at PBIS processes, looking at our restorative practices, and then monitoring that through Educator's Handbook, which this board also approved, I think at the last meeting. So we have a district Educator's Handbook platform, so we can gather data again and see that holistically. And then lastly, the priority area is organizational strength. Pretty easy one to categorize as one of our assurances, organizational strength. And ensuring that we demonstrate organizational strength through business service practices, human resource practices that are equitable, effective, and systems oriented. We know this was an area, especially in business services, and a small district is very challenging. And so we did take some time over the last few years to start doing, or to refine those, to evolve those practices. In the area of human resources, looking at a deputy superintendent who's sitting here, you should have presented this, Nisha. And 3 executive directors, 2 of them are here, and one of them was going to present online. She's not here. But she told me she wishes she could be here. We implemented new meeting protocols to look at our cross-department communications and resource monitoring. How we have meetings as a leadership team is really important. How we have meetings with staff is really important. And so we're just continuing looking at those processes. We are continuing, so happy, we're continuing the quarterly collaborative meeting with our employee groups. This year, we are going to change that, and we're actually going to provide the notes, I guess, or the minutes or whatever. Neil, you had brought this to me as well. I think you'd had a conversation. You brought that question. So we are doing that as part of 4 times we'll release an internal newsletter. We do that anyway. This gives us the content to actually make it more meaningful, we think. So we'll have this quarterly collaborative. Our labor partners will come in. We'll be able to talk through some of the issues, talk about good things too. And then we'll put that in the newsletter. We're going to continue Employee of the Year program, workshops, career, et cetera, and then ensure position control. That's something that, up to a couple of years ago, Nisha was really instrumental in making sure we did a better job of that. I don't want to say we didn't do it. I'm going to say we do a much better job of it now. So always want to keep that there. And then in the business service department, we lost cost centers. We've been talking about that, making sure that each department understands and is trained on how to manage their particular cost center, how to keep within the budget. It's been an important process, particularly in the area of special education, but also in all of our departments. And so that's something that's rolled out. Looking at PowerSchool AIS, I already talked about this. This is the attendance system that we just purchased through PowerSchool. And that, again, part of business, so it's important in business services because, as I said, attendance is really relates to our money. So reviewing our ADA, adjusting staffing as needed, and really looking at the boosting enrollment and marketing. So implementing LREBG and AMIM grants during the 24-25 school year. You all have seen those plans. You've approved those plans. We're excited to roll those plans out. And so part of this process in any types, always maintaining, excellent books on those one-time dollars, making sure that we're following those plans. If there's adjustments, we bring those back to the board or to the leadership team, et cetera. So that'll be a goal for this year. Beginning the implementation and ongoing arts grant, that's Prop 28. So no, we have money there and we haven't really spent. it. This is something that, which is okay. It's just something that, we want to make sure we get it right. Want to make sure that, we're using the funding the right way. So we are going to spend some time this year making sure that we do that. We do have a desire at the middle school to really look at digital media arts basically and figuring out a way to utilize the library and leverage that as a career, sort of as a career connected learning type opportunity.
That's ongoing money, yes.
It is,
That's-
yeah,
that's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah, absolutely. So you could, yes, and so you could pay for personnel. out of
Yeah.
it. And then looking at a comprehensive cleaning evaluation to ensure safe and clean campuses, something you should do. And I know it seems like, why is that a strategic action? It's important. It's important to make sure you have the right tools. We walk the campuses today, these campuses are big. And some of them are, they have their use. So we need to make sure we have the right tools. We need to make sure we have the right runs. We need to make sure we have, the right flow, so to speak, of cleaning and so forth. So getting somebody to come in and actually go over the space, go over the square footage, go over the cleaning techniques, tell us what we maybe should buy, what tools may make it easier. I always say, cleaning's as good as obviously the people, but it's also important to have the right tools to be able to do the job. So we want to make sure that's there too.
Blake,
And-
just a question.
Sure.
We talked before about hiring a new music teacher in the elementary school, but I don't remember having the conversation about the art teacher. Is that supposed to be music?
It's supposed to be a music teacher. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
I guess we called it art because.
Okay, it's in the arts. Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure it was the same thing.
I know. That was
Not
probably a
visual
bad miss on
arts?
my part, right? Yeah,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
It is an elementary music arts.
Musical
teacher.
arts.
Yeah. And then looking down at the bottom, expanding district communications. Really, we need to focus on website development now. And that's not only developing our main central website, which looks great and needs work. Because as the deeper you get into it, the deeper, it needs some TLC. But also looking at our school websites and making sure each of our school site websites are fully kind of built out. Crisis communication is important. I shared about the tabletop exercises. We also want to make sure we're circling up on crisis communications and then our internal communication. So all of this, of course, a CBO would say, while balancing budget constraints. He could have left that out of there. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to that. And I just want to say, I want to thank the team for letting me do all the talking. Thank you, no, thank you for putting in the time and reading this and putting, this is, I know it's me talking, but it's not me doing, and it's not me that put this together. I just appreciate them for what they've done and help.
I just have one technical question.
course.
I should have asked it when
You want me to go
Like,
back to a certain place?
any of the slides, because there was, like on this one, there are some that are highlighted
Yeah.
and some that aren't.
Yeah.
Can you just
Yeah, yeah,
remind me
yeah.
why?
It was, the highlighted ones are totally new.
Okay,
The ones that aren't are not.
okay. Are continuing ones.
I
Okay.
think one observation,
Thank you.
clarification, with all the numbers, I'm a little lost, but first of all, terrific work, this is great, it's not infinite, it is pretty focused. But I think there's an additional focus on top of this, as I understand the priorities, above all are ELA, math, and student wellness and safety.
So we have, yeah.
It kind of gets lost in the.
It
numbers.
is, you're right, it's true. So on the document that you're adopting today, there are 3 priority focus. Thank you for clarifying that, Neil. One is ELA, but it's specific to literacy. So when we talk about ELA, and that's why, we're gonna spend some time with our TK to 3 group, really looking at those resources related to literacy and pulling that out. And that's why one of those strategic actions is that literacy text, is looking at science of reading and looking at what tools are out there for us to maybe boost literacy. Partly because we understand in our communication, if you can't read, you can't do math. And so making sure that foundational skill of reading is there for our students. Of course, continuing with math, which is second priority focus. The addition of the TOSA is probably one of our larger commitments to that, plus the utility of our new resource. This is the first year. We'll see that resource out in action. So excited about that too. And yes, strategic or priority focus 2. And then priority focus 3 is our student wellness and safety continues. It's hard to say that shouldn't ever always be even if we're scoring 100% math,
It's our number one assurance.
got to do it, right? So anyway, so those are, yes, so those are the three, it's outlined and highlighted within the document that you're actually, and that document will get posted to our website. And I'll change it on that. I'm sure I'll give this presentation more and I'll make sure I highlight it.
Somehow change the numbering or something.
They're A, B, and C in here instead
Because
of
it's
one.
kind of lost.
So tell me what you mean by that, just so I make sure. I
Well, here we have 1, 2, 3,
You've
4,
got
5
five
here.
priorities. but
Right.
there's
Go
a-
back to another one, which is priority 1. I mean, even in the document that we're seeing that's in the materials, it's priority 1, item 4. Like what?
Oh, so like maybe do A, B, C.
Just something,
Okay.
you really get lost in
So
the
4,
numbers.
1, 2, okay, I see. Okay, sure.
Or even indent, you
Yeah,
know,
okay.
something.
That's
Just
fair.
Something,
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
but good stuff, exciting, really exciting.
I think we're done, Tony. Thank you.
And maybe they're not priorities.
Well,
It might be the naming
Well
convention
done,
too.
well done, Blake, and thank you to the cabinet. I know there's a lot of work that goes in this, and that I know everyone contributed. And as Michelle said earlier, there you have it, there's the roadmap. And I think it's really important that we communicate that to the entire district, so that everyone has an understanding of the direction and the road that we're going towards this year. So thank you, Blake.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good stuff.
And I think I had a motion and a second on the item. Do I have all in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic.
Was that just 10-1, Nelson?
10-1.
Correct.
Just 10-1. Do I have a motion for 10.2 through 10.3 for general items? Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, a second.
Thank you, Neil. All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. I believe next item is facilities. And I think we could take facilities also, 11.1 through 11.3 if there's no objection. Do I have a
No
motion?
objection, a couple questions.
Thank you, Neil. So motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca. Neil, you have questions?
11.1 just reminded me of our naming policy. It made me wonder, this really isn't, it's more of a question of philosophy.
Mhm.
Would we want to put, there's two things, and these are very, one, a QR code on the fence to get information on the school right next to the logo, for example, just a simple thing.
Mhm.
But also made me wonder, are there ways we could offset costs of the fence with advertising? And I'm not excited about advertising, but I am looking at offsetting costs. And so I don't know if that's something we want to look at as part of our signage conversation and evaluation.
Mhm.
Maybe even a wet logo. I don't know, but I'm just
Yeah.
thinking, I'd like to propose that we think about this as our whole signage naming protocol and policies.
Yeah.
So. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Just had a piggyback comment about that. It just made me think, I saw at one of the schools that we have, like, there's one of the local organizations has put a banner over the sign. So yeah. There's, it's not over the logo, but it's like it's over the fence, which has been something that's happened in the past, right? When the fencing has been up and then people hang banners and stuff. So just making sure that our banner policy is updated to, and what the approval is. I know we previously had that it's on ISIS. But
Which group is it? Yeah, well, I would like to know.
I'm not trying to single anybody out,
I'll drive
but to the
I'll drive
point
by.
about, allowing people to pay to put something up or to advertise, if it's our local groups that are using the fields, because they need to generate their, registrations and getting people involved, like what's the policy around that and just hanging stuff. So, yeah.
This naming policy is becoming
It's
bigger and
getting
bigger.
bigger.
But it's relevant.
It is, it's very relevant.
Is it all kind of is in the same field of, some of it is monetary
Yeah.
and, so.
Well, I think it's also
it
a,
doesn't-
yeah, but it's also the distinction of like, we put up the fencing for safety reasons,
Mhm.
right? And so if we're allowing people to put something on top of it, like, does that interfere with the fencing that we've just paid for, or both from the aesthetic perspective, but also from the safety perspective for which the privacy screen essentially was put in place. So,
I think Jason had a.
This was something we did address last spring, and we met with all the entities. We gave them a kind of a drop dead date. We're taking all the banners off or they need to remove them.
Mhm.
I have a protocol that for the purposes of hanging banners, like the size and how long they should be up, because there was just pieces. We knew there were banners that were up too long. The one you're talking about, I don't know about yet, so we will definitely address that immediately. But this will be part of
It looks
our.
brand new.
It's
Yeah.
brand new. Like,
So
it's actually
I
cool.
will
It's
find
cool.
out. And,
This is good.
address, but we do have a protocol that's, just again, when they should hang it, how long it should be up there and the size of the banner and all those pieces. So when we meet with our, the entities coming up, which we're gonna have a meeting because we're implementing Facilitron. And so they're going to be expected to put all these pieces into that as far as, use agreement and all those pieces. But, yeah, so we'll address and we do a protocol.
Okay, because I think that one other thing
Yeah.
that I noticed last year was it looked like some of the leagues got sponsors. And they were hanging sponsor banners that were not just their own. So just wanted to make sure that like the folks know about what the like policy is around that
Yeah.
kind of thing, if we're doing sponsorships.
Well, there's two things there too, whether the entity is getting a sponsor, so therefore they know that the entity got money. We didn't. And they
Right.
put that up because of that. I think I want to acknowledge Dr. Goldman's comment because, is this something we should be doing and getting revenue for? So I think there's a protocol to be
Mhm.
explored and we could look at that.
And digital signage also goes into this, it's one thing to make the signs, but now what goes on those signs?
Mm-hmm,
And is there a fee for those signs, It's
yeah,
a billboard.
okay, thank you.
I know. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then my other question on these items.
Not adding
had to do
anything
with
to
the
your plate,
Piggyback
sorry.
potentially on the turf. I know there's two piggyback items and I don't know if people like, do you want to, or maybe, I know. Yeah, we don't have that here yet, and I don't know if that was in the plans.
The
No, like
synthetic
the
turf.
turf.
What, I'm sorry.
The actual turf. No.
No, it's a piggyback. So the district used to have an active piggyback, for example, with Martha pools that has since expired.
Right.
And it's obviously to the benefit of the district to reactivate it or establish a new one,
Exactly.
because we obviously get a percentage of every single.
And that's what we're doing here with these.
And that's
two, correct?
exactly what we're doing. Now, we're doing the same with Tecate, so that
I
any
just didn't
future
see that here,
districts.
That's why I'm asking.
Right, so 2.5% for Mirtha, the district will benefit for every single purchase, and then 3% of the total cost of all materials, equipment and services purchased by other districts for the turf. So the piggybacks are being approved by this action item.
Perfect.
We're not buying it, we're just
I
approving.
don't see the name of the turf company in here.
So other
name of the turf.
Yes, well, the name of it is Valley Precision Grading.
Is that the actual physical material? that
Yes,
we're purchasing?
it's a sub company of
Oh,
Tecate,
that's why I was confused, because I didn't recognize what's the name again of the original?
Valley Precision Grading.
No, the original.
Tecate.
That's what I was looking for. I'm like, well, isn't that's why I was confused. Thank you. That was it.
Thank you.
So this is for providing and installing.
Full deal.
Yeah. full-
Great. That's fabulous. Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so.
Love it.
So by approving these two piggyback contracts, it allows other districts, right? No, I mean, it allows other districts to utilize.
Advantageous pricing.
Correct. Negotiated price, and then we get a percentage of that.
Quicker installation.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments or questions any on that?
That's great.
Yep. Okay, so all in favor?
Hi.
Fantastic. Fiscal, let's see here. Fiscal items, just like in I don't see any reason why we can't take 12.1 to 12.4. Got a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Rebecca. Second,
I do want to.
Yeah, second.
Thank you, Neil. I think comment from Blake?
Yeah, 12.4, I want to comment on Erica, recorder creative, I should say Erica.
Yeah.
She's now, she's gone business. We are, I shared in a board update that we're looking to bring back, probably another 80 to 100K, for her services. We just needed a block of money to get going for the school year. We are trying to find ways to, get more strategic. We showed you some of our strategic actions, our plan for next year. looking at our website design. There's things that we need Erica to do that she can't do because she's writing newsletters every month and so forth. So we want to try to free up some of that time, looking at someone that can maybe do some of the more, the ongoing writing and such, so that we can free Erica to really look at our crisis communication, look at our website design, look at our marketing practices, because we know how important that is to getting students into the door. So there's some strategy that we want to probably augment a little this year. So anyway, I'm just sharing that now. So if you see another agenda item at a future date.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. All right, upcoming dates and events. First day of school, August 27th. Got Labor Day holiday, obviously, following, after that, September 2nd. And then, myriad of back to school nights. Wednesday, September 4th, Weisberg Middle School starts at 5:30. I think they all are 5:30 PM start dates. Back to school, September 5th, Del Air Elementary. Back to school, September 5th, also aviation. And then Holly Glen is September 11th, the following week. That one starts at 5 o'clock. So, if Wendy can get those out to our, get them on our calendars.
Yep.
And regular board meeting, our next regular board meeting, September 12th.
11th. It was moved from the 11th to the 12th because of Holly Glenn's back to school night.
So it's
the
actually,
12th.
it's actually at 12.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca, for that.
And then it's not on here and we didn't mention it, but the 6th grade orientation is next Monday at Weisberg Middle School, right? Starting
It
at
is.
1 PM. So
We actually got to see some happy students practicing, didn't we? We saw the
Web leaders.
Yeah, it was nice.
And,
What day was that?
it's Monday, the 19th at 1 PM is when it starts.
and Mr. Wallace is in the house, I believe, Da Vinci, August 19th start date, is that correct?
That's correct.
Stuff happening already.
Don't show up between 8 AM and 9 AM.
I thought you were gonna say 8 to 4.
I don't drive anywhere on Douglas.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
We have one other future
Yeah.
date. So we are holding a special board meeting next week on Wednesday. One item agenda proposed personnel item. That we will be more, we'll talk about more when it's posted.
Okay.
Okay?
It's 5 PM.
5
5 PM, yeah. We'll post as soon as we can get all the paperwork together for that.
Fantastic. All right, got a motion and a second to adjourn?
All right, so moved.
You're done. Thank you, everybody.